Hi, I'm Jan.
And I'm Tracy.
And we completed the 7-day Western Caribbean cruise upon the MSC Seashore inside the exclusive MSC Yacht Club.
And as we always point out in our reviews, we understand that cruising is a personal experience and two people can have a different perspective of the same cruise.
So these are just our observations of the Seashore for a 7-day Caribbean cruise in the MSC Yacht Club.
So to discuss our review, we're going to examine the ship and the cruise using a series of categories. And then we're going to give you the top 3 things that we wish they would have done a little bit better and the top 3 things we really liked.
Yeah, and the categories we're going to be looking at are the ship, the yacht club, our cabin, service, the food, the entertainment, and we're going to be taking a look at MSC's private island, Ocean Cay.
So the MSC Seashore is among the most beautiful ships that we have sailed on. It's very well laid out, and I love the atrium area. It's large and beautiful. It's over 4 stories, and it is great use for their group entertainment.
Yeah, and what's also nice is there's so many nice lounges all the way around. Two that I really love, the Brooklyn Cafe, which is actually bright and comfortable, and just a very nice place to be at. The other one is the Rouge Cabaret, which is a really unique space. It's kind of a regular lounge up top, but it actually has this sunken entertainment stage where you're going to have entertainment at night. Just a really neat place to spend some time.
And when you have kids, they have the Pirates Cove and the Jungle Pool. Those are 2 fantastic places to take your kids on a rainy day or a sunny day. And they have the largest kids club that I've ever seen at their Do Re Mi Club.
Now, it was also one of the largest ships we sailed on. It was sailing just under max capacity, which is something like 5,500 passengers, which did make it feel pretty crowded, especially as we really didn't have great weather. We had a lot of rainy days, so lots of people were coming into the interior, which really did make it pretty crazy.
Which is why we were so happy to be in the Yacht Club. So the Yacht Club is MSC's ship-in-a-ship concept, similar to the Norwegian Haven.
Now, inside this key controlled area are not only your rooms, but here you're going to find the top sail lounge with its own bar, these wraparound floor-to-ceiling windows, and evening entertainment. And now, just above the top sail lounge, you're going to have your own private yacht club restaurant.
And on the top deck of the ship, you have a private pool area within the yacht club. And this pool is larger than a lot of ship pools that we've seen on other mass market lines. There are plenty of hot tubs. They have cushioned loungers, and they have another bar, which also has a small buffet for breakfast and lunch, which is really nice and specifically for the yacht club guests.
Yeah, now the one thing that the yacht club did not have was crowds. That was great. It truly was our sanctuary from the chaos of the rest of the ship.
But there's also a lot of benefits that are intangibles that are included when you are part of the yacht club. To begin with, you get the premium drink package. You get fast Wi-Fi on 2 devices each, and even though you would have to pay a little bit extra for streaming. And one thing that we haven't seen on other mass market ship lines is complimentary access to the Orea thermal spa area.
Yeah, and if that's not enough, each one of your rooms, even ours, which was an inside room, has its own butler, which, well, by the way, brings us to our room.
So this was the first ever inside room we've ever booked on a cruise ship for ourselves, and it completely blew us away in our expectations.
Yeah, now when we still had kids in the house, we actually had given, got inside rooms for them, and our expectations was it would be small, it would be cramped, it would be dark. It was dark, but that's not what we found. What I like about what they have done with the inside rooms in the yacht club is that because there's not a balcony, they are able to place the bed all the way against the back far wall. And what that does is it opens up the forward portion of the room, and quite frankly, it made it feel much more spacious and easier to get around than a lot of the balcony cabins we've had on other lines.
So the room itself was really nicely decorated. They do a great job with the mirrors, how they place them in the room to make it feel a little bit bigger. The bathroom was really, really nice. It had a nice sized shower with nice glass doors. Like Jan had mentioned before, when the lights are off, it is very, very dark. But when the lights are on, it is well lit and it's very easy to get around. We decided because it was going to be dark and we are kind of bio clock people, we got ourselves a natural alarm clock to keep us from oversleeping.
Yeah, because quite frankly, it's dark. If you want to get a sleep, it's quiet, it's dark, and you'll sleep forever. All right, now despite all the extras of the yacht club, the one thing that really kind of surprised us was some inconsistent service within the yacht club itself.
It wasn't bad, and some things were really, really great, like being escorted to shows. On and off the ship was really nice, and the service we had in the yacht club was great. However, we had been in the yacht club in Europe, and it was just a completely different experience. It was not as refined as it was when we went on the Preziosa. The concierge and wait staff were absolutely brilliant. We did note that the bar service was quite slow, and we found it difficult to get drinks in the Topsail Lounge as waiters were running around making their rounds.
And probably why we're more critical than not is, quite frankly, is because our first experience in the yacht club on the MSC Preziosa in Europe, we had Doris. Doris was our butler, and he was exceptional. He was incredibly proactive. However, on the Seashore, we didn't even meet our butler and the room steward until the second day. Although I do have to point out, they did something very nice. Is I had my birthday, and they actually decorated my room for my birthday, which is very cool. Now, don't get us wrong. We love the yacht club. We had a great time in the yacht club, and I think that even if we were outside the yacht club, we would have been more than satisfied. It just is a matter of, in the yacht club, it didn't have that something special that we had grown to expect for the yacht club.
Now, outside the yacht club, we did find the service to be as good as any other mass market line that we have sailed on. In fact, we thought that the bartenders in the Orea bar were among the most friendly bartenders that we have had to date.
Now, some of the greatness that we saw in the yacht club actually did transcend into the food.
Yeah, for example, we were eating lunch on the first day in the yacht club restaurant, and the yacht club executive chef came by our table and asked us if we had been on the MSC Preziosa a couple of years back. Yes, he had, and he recognized us, and that made us feel good that someone recognized us.
Yeah. In fact, when we mentioned that I was going to be celebrating my birthday on the cruise, he offered to cook a special Indian meal just for us to help us to celebrate, which actually was fantastic.
Now, the rest of the food in the yacht club is what you'd expect in a very good main dining room, but I will be honest, it wasn't quite as elevated as we would have expected from a specialty yacht club restaurant.
Yeah, it's good. It was a really good main dining room. Now, the other thing was nice is it had a rotating menu, which we thought was nice, and there was always available selection of common dishes, all of them which we kind of liked to choose from. So quite frankly, there was plenty of variety in the yacht club restaurant.
Now, we did go to 3 specialty restaurants outside of the yacht club, and the first one we chose was a Butcher's Cut. This is the MSC Steakhouse, and we thought that was quite good. They had nice thick steaks. They were cooked to perfection. They weren't over-seasoned. We love seafood, so we went to the Ocean Key restaurant, and quite frankly, it was very disappointing.
Yeah, the disappointment really started just as soon as we actually got seated down. The hostess sat down. By the way, it's a nice space, but she handed us the menus. We look at the menus, and they're these large, worn, laminated menus that would be kind of what you would expect you'd get at a cheap diner instead of at a cruise ship specialty restaurant.
And the next thing that was kind of a down with this restaurant was there was very few options to choose from. In fact, the one dish that we thought was very appealing, the sea bass, they were out of that day.
Yeah, the problem with that is because if you're out of the sea bass, there wasn't a lot left, so we decided to do oysters, and quite frankly, they just weren't good. We didn't even finish them all. They just weren't that good.
So out of that poor experience at Ocean Key, that prompted us to go literally next door, and we went and got sushi at Kato Sushi, and that was incredible.
Yeah, it was very good, and there's 2 ways you can pay. They had, at least when we were on, that you could do it by an hour, basically pay for an hour, you eat what you want in an hour, or you could do it a la carte, which is what we did. And what is interesting is even if you don't like sushi, I would stop by because it's pretty cool. All the dishes are actually color-coded to reflect their costs, and they move around the restaurant on these really neat magnetic conveyor systems that go around. So when you see something you like, quite frankly, you grab it off the belt and it's yours.
And so as Jan mentioned, we did the dish by dish option, and we shared the dishes between ourselves, and we found it was actually quite reasonable, and the sushi was really good. I went to the buffet for lunch one time only, and it was crowded. And this was on a sea day, and it was kind of a rainy day. And although we had walked through at different times of the day, you can find seats available if you go all the way to the back of the ship. But during peak periods, it was impossible.
Now, the other times for lunch, we either ate at the Yacht Club restaurant or at the One Bar Buffet. That is that buffet and bar that is by the Yacht Club pool. And between these, I really love the pool's buffet much better. It had more refined food. The service was fantastic. The only problem is when it rained, there's just not a lot of places to sit. There is some covered areas, but it's just not as nice up there then.
So we also had the chance to order the famous MSC pizzas. We had it delivered to our room. MSC has some of the best pizzas we've seen at sea, and it was nice because our butler delivered it to our room. And because we did that, because we were in the yacht club, there was no cost for room service delivery.
We probably could have stayed in the yacht club for the entire cruise, but we did venture out for some entertainment.
Now, if you remember our trip to Stockholm and our visit to the ABBA Museum, you know I love ABBA. So I was so thrilled when I found out there was an ABBA party going on the second night of our cruise. And that extended to the 4 stories of the atrium. It was great music. People were dancing everywhere. It was a really fun time.
Now, among the activities we always enjoy is daily trivia, and there's several things we liked about what they did. First of all, the venues they used were great. They used the Cabaret Rouge. They used the Manhattan Boulevard or Avenue. It was fantastic. They had a good variety of questions. Quite frankly, it didn't disappoint.
And they actually had some decent prizes.
Now, another thing we really enjoyed was the water slides. Now, fortunately, this was a Western Caribbean cruise, and we had visited all the ports many times. For us, then, this cruise really was about enjoying the ship. So while everyone else was off having fun in port, Tracy and I took some time to enjoy the ship, which include riding the water slides, and quite frankly, they were really fun.
What do you think, Trace? That was good. All right, want to do it again?
Yes.
All right.
This is absolutely the best time to enjoy the ship.
I agree. These were the best water slides we'd went on. Now, inside the yacht club, there was also its own private entertainment that we got to do in the evenings and at tea time. For example, we had one night where they brought in tango dancers who did a performance just for the people in the top sail lounge.
Yeah, that was nice. Now, throughout the ship, don't worry. I mean, even if you're not in yacht club, there's plenty of entertainment. It seems like each one of the lounges had some type of entertainment. One of the favorite ones we saw was the Rouge Cabaret, again with that sunken performance area, really nice. And the entertainment in the Madison Theater, it was pretty good. It was kind of your song and dance variety show, but it wasn't the production shows you think of on many of the other mass market lines.
Yeah, so the place that we probably spent the most of our time outside of the yacht club was in the Orea Thermal Spa because it was complimentary as being a yacht club member. It was spacious, it was clean, the saunas were hot, there was a great variety of steam rooms and shower experiences. And being free is a great thing because that is not the case on a lot of other mass market ships.
Now, the place where we did get off the ship was at MSC's private island, Ocean Cay. Now, fortunately, this was better than the seafood restaurant that's on the ship that goes by the same name.
So there's several things we do love about this island. For example, unlike other cruise ships and their private islands, you do not have to tender. You pull right up to the dock and there you are on the private island. There's no tendering there. You just walk right off the ship.
Now, your drink package also works on the island as well as it does on the ship, and there are plenty of complimentary food venues, so you don't feel like you're getting a really nickel to dime unless you want like a floating mat or a cabana. And of course, there are several different beaches giving you more than enough opportunities to enjoy the water and sun, and unfortunately, the sun was something that was a premium on our cruise, and it was a premium even on the second day that we were in Ocean Cay.
And for yacht club guests, you have your own private beach, and it has its own beach house, which is a restaurant that offers upgraded food. And you also get a complimentary golf cart service over to the private island.
Now, another thing which we really like about Ocean Cay as opposed to some of the other cruise lines islands is one is you actually port there. You don't have to tender in, which makes it a lot easier. Also, MSC often will have you stay overnight on their private island. So what this means is 2 things. First of all, it extends your time on the island. You don't feel rushed having to get back on the ship on that first day, but also you don't want to miss the light show that they have that right around the lighthouse, which is actually very cool. All right, so what we've done, we've gone through each one of our categories. Now what we're going to do, so we're going to go over those things that they could have done a little bit better, and then we're going to talk about our 3 things we love most about the MSC Seashore. And we'll start with the downs, and the first one is
the food. In the yacht club itself, we were hoping for a little bit more of an elevated dining experience within the yacht club restaurant. It was good as a main dining room restaurant. It just wasn't elevated.
And the second one is that outside of the yacht club, it was extremely crowded. Now, was it too crowded? I don't know. We were in the yacht club, but my sense when we did walk around, if that's what you're doing, you would get used to it. But it's certainly the difference between the crowds outside the yacht club and the yacht club was very, very evident.
And the third down we had was the production shows. So although you do get special seating in the yacht club area, the production shows were not as elevated as you see on like Norwegian or Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, and then let's talk about the ups, because there really are a lot of ups. And first of all is the ship. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that MSC ships are not pretty, and they certainly are. They're big, they are glitzy, they are over the top, they're beautiful, they're easy to move around, they have lots of different places. Certainly the ship is certainly a sustain on this cruise.
And the next thing we thought was an up is MSC's commitment to the environment, and that's what it does in Ocean Key. It's a fantastic reclaimed island. They've done a great job with it. There's plenty of beaches. There's plenty of places to walk around. It's just a nice place.
Yeah. Now, and of course, the last up, which is kind of, I think, is the most important, quite frankly, is the value proposition that this line has. Certainly that for the yacht club, we did the inside room. We had everything that, all the benefits to the yacht club for an inside room. And quite frankly, what we paid for our inside room in the yacht club was about what you would pay for a balcony on any other mass market line. And that was just really, really great. When this kind of leads over to the idea here of who we think this is actually for, we really think that the Seashore is really for two different types of cruisers. The first is if you are a cruiser who wants a luxury experience without having to pay the premium charges you're going to find on their lines, the Yacht Club really is a great steal, especially if you're okay with going onto an interior room. You get treated outside of your room just as well as anything else. You don't have to worry about the crowds. You have better food. You have the really good lounge. You have all those different things. You're not fighting for a pool, a place by the pool. It really is great. And the second group that I think this is really good for is young families with kids. Really, when you're looking at the Pirates Cove, you're looking at the Jungle Lounge, you're looking at the Do-Re-Mi Kids Club, this really, there's a lot for kids to be able to do in the line. And for young families, the price point really makes it actually fairly affordable to be able to take your family out and go do that. All right, so that is our review of the MSC Seashore in the Yacht Club. Go on and watch this video to be able to come along with us on another adventure. And as always, keep on traveling.